Welcome back to the Ad Lib Podcast. Today is episode number 85, and it's good to be back. Unfortunately, last week we had to take a week off. I mean, everyone deserves a week off on Santa Maria, right? But we are back, and it's good to be back here. We've got lots to talk about today. Obviously, as you can tell from the thumbnail, we're going to be reviewing Alien Romulus. Now, Franco should be joining us later on. Unfortunately, in his town, there was a power cut, so hopefully that will be resolved soon, and Franco can join us here live on the Ad Lib Podcast. Apart from Alien Romulus, we've also got a few more things to talk about. Primarily, we've got some trailers, and we've actually got some anime trailers. We've got one for Tomb Raider, which we'll be talking about, one for Terminator Zero. We got a NSFW trailer from Netflix, and Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, the anime trailer for that as well. Some Ted Lasso news to talk about, and the big news, apart obviously from talking about Alien Romulus today, is Gamescom. Last week there was Gamescom 2024, and we'll be talking about all the different video game announcements, trailers, and whatnot. We'll get into the nitty-gritty later on. So that is our plan for today. Hello to all the viewers and listeners in chat. It's good to have you here. I hope you are all doing well. Like I said, Franco should be joining later on. Unfortunately, Joe cannot make it because he is currently busy traveling and whatnot. But let's get right into it. So here at the Ad Lib Podcast, it's all about movies, it's all about series, and it's all about video games. And like I said, we've got loads to talk about. I'm actually going to start the podcast, as we always do, by going a little bit into the movies I've watched this week. Now, for those of you who follow me on my personal profile on Facebook, you'll actually know that I've been talking a little bit about doing a bit of like a short video where I talk about 3 movies I recommend. So, for example, this week I spoke about Stagecoach, I spoke about In the Mood for Love, and I spoke about, I forgot what other film I spoke about. I spoke about 3 films basically. As you can see on the screen, these are some of the films I've watched this week. I watched Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was a great watch, 4.5 for that. I watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which was fantastic, really good. The Lady Vanishes was also quite a fun watch, although some issues here and there. Gone with the Wind, I mean, I gave it a 5 out of 5. That's a fantastically shot movie. Obviously, it has a lot of issues, just as, unfortunately, does Breakfast at Tiffany's. A lot of issues, a lot of racist issues, unfortunately, right? Somewhat a product of its time, and sometimes a bit more, I think, than just being a product of its time. The Devils, we had a great event on Thursday where we had lots of viewers at the pub, and everyone was there to watch The Devils, and good get together there with Bruce organizing. And we then gave our live review for The Devils. That was very fun. Obviously, Aliens. I watched Alien as well, and Alien Romulus. That's a little bit of my week. Every week, like I said, on the past week, basically, I released it on Friday, but I'm going to plan on releasing it on Saturday morning. I think Saturday morning would be the best time to release them. So every Saturday morning, I'll post basically a short video, 2-3 minutes long, not more, in which I give you my movie recommendations for the week, and maybe you can check them out with me and let me know. Viewers and listeners in the chat, let me know how's it going. Hope you are all doing well. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, if you are enjoying it, and comment. Let us know what you've been up to, what you've watched, what you've been watching, or what you plan to watch as well this week. It's good to have you here. Hello, Kate. Unfortunately, it's only me for now, but Franco will be joining, hopefully, if electricity returns back to his hometown. But it's good to have you on, Kate. Have you been busy with films recently? I hope you're doing well, my friend. And I think we can start off straight with our first trailer of the day. Our first trailer of the day is an interesting one. Now, I believe there was some news, because I saw a couple of videos about it, about the Amazon Tomb Raider being cancelled. Apparently that's a thing. We had spoken about it a long time ago on the podcast, I remember. Apparently it's being cancelled and Amazon losing a lot of money there. But this is actually not an Amazon project. This is a Netflix project. And here we're talking about Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. And we got the trailer for it. And let's get into it. So Lara Croft has braved danger time and again on expeditions to ancient ruins. But this time she'll have to face her own demons. A new trailer for Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft sees the legendary adventurer running headlong into peril for her next globe-trotting journey to save a powerful Chinese artifact stolen from Croft Manor. However, she's haunted by the ghosts of her past and what kind of hero she's becoming along her travels. Haley Atwell voices this animated iteration of the iconic video game protagonist who will make her grand return on Netflix this October. So let's get into the trailer. Let's have a look at it. Obviously, I can't show the whole thing, but I can skim through. Little teaser there as to what we'll be talking about next. I'm sure most of the viewers will be interested in that. Now, so Netflix has a pretty good track record when it comes to animated products. One thing that comes to mind right now is Castlevania, right? The Castlevania, which was a great, really good little anime series based on the video game. Keith says, an under-the-radar gem I watched recently is Ghostlight that I highly recommend. It made me smile and tear up at the same time. Ghostlight. Let me check that out. Haven't heard of that, Keith. Ghostlight. So what's Ghostlight? So when a construction worker unexpectedly joins a local theatre's production of Romeo and Juliet, the drama on stage starts to mirror his own life. Interesting. Keith Ferrer, Catherine Mellon. Okay, interesting. I'll try to find the time and check it out. Keith, thanks for the recommendation. Seems like a very interesting recommendation. Thanks for that. So that is Ghostlight. Now let's talk a little bit about Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. Like I was saying, Netflix have a pretty good track record when it comes to animated material, animated stuff. Generally quite a good track record. Their products are usually quite decent. Now, with regard to the Tomb Raider, obviously, Tomb Raider has seen numerous iterations, right? Generally, the video game, but there were also a couple of movies. The Angelina Jolie ones, then there were the more gritty one. I forgot when it released. Actually, I hadn't watched that one. But even with the video games, we had the older video games, right? The ones we used to play on PlayStation 1. Those were fantastic. So fun to play. I remember playing those. So fun. Then Microsoft started to release a new iteration of the games, which kind of changed the tone of the video games, turning the kind of like the Tomb Raider games into more gritty, more dark in approach, more psychological, all right? Which was a big change from the more kind of like Angelina Jolie style of Tomb Raider. Was more confident, more cocky, more focused around the sexuality of the character and how tough the character was. So there was an interesting change there. This seems to be going more for the psychological aspect of Lara Croft, which I think can be interesting, and if done well, should make for a fun little show on Netflix. Now, of course, I do kind of miss that cocky, that arrogant, kind of like slightly arrogant Lara Croft from the early 2000s. That's something I do kind of miss as well. Voiced by Haley Atwell, who I think is a fantastic actress. I think she's great. She can pull it off, definitely has the charisma to pull off Lara Croft. So overall, I think this seems promising. Now, obviously, the animation style itself doesn't look amazing, and we're going to be talking a lot about animation today. Now, as people who've watched this podcast for quite a while, no, I'm not the biggest fan of animation. I watch the Studio Ghibli stuff, and not much else, right? So I'm not kind of like a big anime fan and whatnot. So maybe if you're a fan of anime, this might be more your kind of style. I think it's a little plain with regard to the character design, with regard to the backgrounds. I don't think it looks like the best kind of animation quality. We'll see. Right, we'll see. I think there is potential, but I'm a little worried here. We've got, as you can see, Tasha Huo, who leads the Legend of Lara Croft as a writer, showrunner, and executive producer, who worked on The Witcher Blood Origin. Now, The Witcher Blood Origin, I actually watched. I thought it was a fantastic little animated movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Red Sonja, which is yet unreleased. That'll be interesting. Adaptation starring Matilda Lutz. And the upcoming Mighty Nine animated series from the Critical Role team. Okay. Producer, Legendary Television. Powerhouse Animation is once again teaming with Netflix. Brings to life. Oh, they worked on Castlevania. Okay, so that's interesting. So they actually worked on Castlevania, which I loved. So maybe the trailer isn't showing the best parts of it, right? I can see a little bit of Castlevania, but not really at the same time. I would never have guessed this was the Castlevania team. Yella would be a much better person to talk about this animated stuff. She would be the expert on that. Would have been great to have you. Actually, I should have messaged her to have had her on the podcast today, because there's a lot of animated stuff to talk about. Moving on to the second trailer we have today. Now, this trailer I won't spend too much time on, because we've spoken about this series, which is coming out very soon, I believe on Thursday, quite a few times. But another fantastic looking trailer, I'm going to come out right out and say it. Terminator Zero's new trailer shows the bloody war to come. And I'm really excited for this, because I think this is one animated show that looks bloody great, looks really good. And here, obviously, we're talking about Terminator Zero. Terminator has been largely on ice since 2019. I actually did not watch the 2019 movie. But it's returning with Terminator Zero. The upcoming anime is looking to expand the scope of the sci-fi thriller franchise by going to Japan and focusing on a new set of characters caught up in the human Skynet war. But war is hell, and as a mature animated series, it's also coming with a ton of violence on display. During anime, New York City, Netflix released a new red band trailer that shows a bunch of humans getting mutilated or killed in the meanest of ways. These new killer robots and Timothy Olyphant's lead Terminator were created by an AI named Kokoro, Rosario Dawson, developed in Japan as the country's Skynet equivalent, and who are hunting down its creator, Malcolm Lee, Andre Holland, and his family. It falls to time-traveling resistance soldier Aiko Sonoya Mizuno to protect the Lees and try to stop Kokoro before it devastates the country like Skynet has in the West. Now, this, that's so loud. I hope there was no sound on the podcast. This is one trailer that really caught my attention. Now, me and Franco, and I believe Joe was on the podcast as well when he spoke about this, have all said how good this series looks. I mean, it looks fantastic. And just having a look, I'm going to pause it there because we'll get blocked on YouTube. Just having a look there and seeing kind of like the animation style, this personally for me looks so much more creative. There's so much more, exciting lighting going on. So much more creativity as well going on when contrasted and compared and contrasted with the Lara Croft animation style. I think the Terminator world makes for a perfect world for animation, for anime. The action, the bloody action that there is here portrayed in this trailer is just fantastic. And like I said, this futuristic world, right? This technology is just perfectly made for anime. I love this. I love this little style, this little 3D added here. That effect. I just think that's fantastic. Now, I've seen some people complaining, because I've seen a lot of people complaining how a lot of anime shows seem to be adding a lot of 3D to them. Now, I don't watch a lot of anime. So for me, this is actually something a little unique, right, in its style. Maybe big fans of anime might complain about that. I am not a big fan of anime, unfortunately, so I'm not complaining. I think this looks marvelous. Even the smoke effect here looks great, just fantastic. Nice blood effects there. Looks nice, bloody and gritty. This comes out on Thursday. Very much looking forward to checking it out. Thursday is going to be a busy busy day, guys. Thursday's going to be a really busy day because we're going to have Terminator Zero coming out, and we're also going to have the first 3 episodes of War of the Rings. Hope that will be a bit better than the season 1, and that'll be an interesting discussion to have with Joe when that comes out. So that is a trailer for Terminator Zero, and really, really looking forward to that. And to conclude the anime, lots of anime, like I said, to discuss today, is The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, with its animated movie, which reveals its first trailer. Warner Brothers has released the first trailer for The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, an animated movie that serves as a prequel to the live-action Lord of the Rings. The War of the Rohirrim will be released on December 13th, set roughly 200 years before the events of The Lord of the Rings. This prequel reveals the untold story of Rohan's former ruler, Helm Hammerhand, voiced by Brian Cox. Trailer gives us a much better idea of the plot of the film, which deals with a bloody conflict between Rohan and the Dunlandings after an arranged marriage between Helm's daughter Hera and the Dunland prince Wulf falls through and leads to the death of Wulf's father Freka. Wulf declares war on Rohan as Helm rallies his kingdom. The defiant Hera may prove to be the only hope for Rohan's survival. Now, as friends and fans of the Ad Lib Podcast will know, I am a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Personally, I put the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings on my letterbox. It's just Return of the King, but it's because I can't put all 3 together. But personally, I put the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings amongst my top 4 movies of all time, my personal favorite 4 movies of all time. They're movies I've watched countless times. I adore them, right? I've read the books numerous times. I've read The Hobbit numerous times. Actually read The Hobbit when I was like 8 or 9. My dad actually read it to me for the first time. I've read it numerous times. I've read The Silmarillion twice. I am not a big Lord of the Rings lore guy, right? I read the books. I love the movies. I have all the books about the movies, about the making of the movies, but I'm not the kind of guy who's going to, fixate upon lore. And I know my stuff, right? I know the basic stuff, but I'm not the kind of guy who's going to fixate on, it has to be like this, exactly like this, right? I think there's space for interpretation. Now, viewers will know, and I already hinted at it, my thoughts on the War of the Rings, right? I think it's a bit of a mess. Hopefully season 2 will fix that. I doubt. But having a look at the trailer for The War of the Rohirrim, our expectations, both me and Joe had very high expectations. I don't know if we had discussed this with Franco as well. But getting into the trailer, first of all, I think it was a big mistake to start off with clips from the movies. I think the music, the Rohan music, obviously I can't play the sound, but if you watch the trailer, you'll listen to the sound to the Rohan theme song, right? The famous song, which is played when they're riding towards, you can see it there, when they're riding towards Edoras, and in many of the big moments, right? We've got also the ride of the Rohirrim and so on. But you've got the theme song, the Rohan theme song, playing in the background. I think that's more than enough to acclimate viewers and link viewers with the world of the Lord of the Rings. I think it's a big mistake to showcase clips from the actual movie here, from the Two Towers, mostly. And why is that? So you watch this, right? And you think, oh my God, this looks so good. I mean, looking at this, just looking at the design of Edoras, it's so beautiful. It's so beautifully done. And what they managed to do there, filming almost, not always, but quite a bit on location, building the sets and whatnot on location, looking at this, such an epic moment when Aragorn returns and announces that Isengard is marching on Rohan. Such a great moment. And then we switch to anime. Now, fans of anime, please don't hate on me. Please don't hate on me. But I think when live action is done this well, and then you switch to anime, I have to say, I do see a bit of a downgrade, right? Now, get your dislikes ready and done, okay? I know a lot of anime fans are disliking right now. But to be fair, I think the world design looks fantastic. For an anime, the world design just looks absolutely fantastic. So I'll say that, I mean, this design looks simply fantastic, right? My big issue, apart from feeling like there is a bit of a downgrade from the actual Lord of the Rings movies, are a couple. I have a couple of issues. And then I'll get into the positives later on. I'm starting off with the negatives here. I think the character designs aren't the greatest. I'll start off with that. I think the character designs aren't the greatest. I think especially with our protagonist, right? Our protagonist. Actually, before I get into this, let me give a bit of a, let me go through the characters again. So, we've got Helm's daughter Hera here, and that's this character here, right? I do feel like it is a bit of a mistake that the writers for this movie are turning Hera, who, by the way, in the books is an unnamed character. She is basically the reason why this war starts in the first place, because of the marriage. But the person who stops the marriage is actually her father, Helm Hammerhand. And it is this event that we see portrayed here, where Helm Hammerhand becomes famous for punching this guy here, and he gets the name Helm Hammerhand, because he kills the guy with one punch. Who needs a weapon, right? And that is what starts the War of the Rohirrim. Now, going back to the character design, I do feel like they are going a little bit for the kind of like, for like the anime female who kind of can't do no wrong, and she is the unbeatable hero, right? Which I really don't think fits in the world of The Lord of the Rings, in J.R.R. Tolkien's world. Looking at the very strong, very powerful female characters in, for example, in the trilogy, right, in the Peter Jackson trilogy, and in the books, a character like Eowyn, for example, she has so many powerful moments, but in the movie, never once did she feel indestructible. When she takes on the Witch King of Angmar, the reason why she's able to defeat the Witch King of Angmar is because a hobbit stabs the Witch King of Angmar in his heel with a very specific blade, right? With a magical blade, basically. So that, I mean, the jury is still out, right? The jury is still out, but my interpretation from the trailer is that the big focus of this movie is on Hera, which would be fine. But why aren't we focusing everything? Maybe not everything. I mean, obviously, you can't keep Hera as an unnamed character the way it's done in the books. This is basically based on like 4 or 5 pages at the end of the book, right? So obviously the character needs to be named, needs to be given a reason to be there, and needs to be part of the story, part of the narrative of the War of the Rohirrim. But I think it's a big pity that the big focus of the movie is not on Helm Hammerhand, who also got the biggest casting. And when you listen to him, when you listen to Brian Cox's voice in this scene, Riders of Rohan, his voice is just perfect for the king of the Rohirrim, Helm Hammerhand. It's perfection, absolute perfection. So I think it's a massive pity. I think it's a massive pity that we are not getting a film that focuses all its attention on Helm Hammerhand. Now, obviously with the character of Helm Hammerhand, there is another issue, right? Which I won't say because of spoilers. So I understand somewhat why they kind of completely focus on the character of Helm Hammerhand because of something that happens. At the same time, however, I think it's a big pity, right? But it is what it is. Character design, not 100% convinced. The backgrounds, especially in Edoras, looks fantastic, looks straight out of the movies, right? I think the backgrounds look bloody great. I mean, look at this, the detail on it is simply magnificent. So I think the backgrounds and the settings look perfect, absolute perfection. It also lacks a little bit of epicness from what I've seen so far. I mean, watching the trailers for the original trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there's just goosebumps throughout. There are some moments where I'm like, do we really need this? For example, this scene where we see the Watcher, for example. I have no idea how the Watcher ends up over here, right? Because this is clearly the Watcher from the Fellowship of the Ring. Again, not too convinced with the character design of the Watcher, but we'll see how that works. I'm a little worried again if the character is going, because already we hear in the trailer say that she's kind of like the fastest rider. Okay, yeah. Do we really need a hero who is unbeatable, who is indestructible? Are we going to have any tension in this film if our character is our main character, our main hero, feels indestructible in the film? We'll see, right? But it is what it is. Hopefully, better things to come from the movie itself. I'm a little worried from the trailer, to be perfectly honest. Again, I'm excited by the design, excited by the look. I think more or less it looks fantastic, minus some of the character design here and there. What they're actually doing with the writing of the characters, a little worried there, guys. A little worried there, to be perfectly honest. But those are my thoughts for The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts about all these different trailers, especially your thoughts on The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, just a second, guys. Just one second. I'm going to take a quick break, quick sip of water, because I need to rest my voice. Just a second, and then I'll be joining back. We'll be talking about Ted Lasso, news on Ted Lasso, and then we'll actually get into Gamescom 2024 news. Stick around for that. Just a second, guys. Just going to take a quick break. All right, thanks for sticking around, guys. Let's get on into the news section of the podcast. And to start off, we're going to start off talking about Ted Lasso. So, apparently Ted Lasso is getting back in the game for season 4 after all. In news that's so shocking it feels it should be illegal, Ted Lasso fans can finally start celebrating the much anticipated 4th season of Apple TV Plus's beloved football comedy is beginning to take shape. According to an exclusive report, just 3 of the series original according to an exclusive report just released by Deadline, Warner Brothers Television has officially picked up the options for 3 of the series' original cast members: Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Jeremy Swift. Waddingham, who of course portrays Rebecca Walton, Goldstein, the gruff yet lovable Roy Kent, and Swift, the ever-reliable Leslie Higgins, are all set to return to AFC Richmond. Securing these key players paves the way for what could be a monumental season 4, with early production rumored to start as soon as 2025. There's still work to be done with the SAG-AFTRA contracted members. These include Jason Sudeikis, Juno Temple, Brendan Hunt. These negotiations are beginning. It's clear the gears are turning to bring the whole gang back together. Now, is it going to happen? It seems like it's still a bit of a question mark. Again, not much to discuss here. I love Ted Lasso. Absolutely love Ted Lasso. Seasons 1 and 2 are fantastic. Season 2 got into a lot of emotional stuff, and I know some people aren't the biggest fans. I thought season 3 was probably the biggest, bit of a disappointment compared to the previous seasons. I thought it concluded well, though. I thought it concluded fine. Do we really need a season 4? Again, jury's out for that. I don't really think we need a season 4 at the same time. it'll be nice to see the gang back together. So yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with the season 4 of Ted Lasso if they can make it work. If not, I think season 3 concluded just fine. So just a quick bit of news there about Ted Lasso. And to conclude the news section of the podcast today, the big one for the day is Gamescom 2024 and a bunch of video game announcements, trailers and whatnot to talk about. So, video gamers, here we go. Let's get into it. Let's get into the big announcements from the opening day, right? Which is obviously the big day. We got the official teaser trailer for Borderlands 4. I feel like Gearbox thought this would be like some big announcement, right? Post Borderlands, the movie. Unfortunately, the reality is that the movie was a massive flop, as we discussed in the podcast, in the last podcast, basically. And yeah, a bit of a disaster, right? Now, I don't know if it was planned for this trailer to be released after the hopes of having a big release of the movie, or whether they noticed all the bad news, all the bad press about the movie, and they wanted to distract and take away some attention from the movie and bring back excitement with a teaser trailer for the video game. Because literally here, if you watch the teaser trailer, literally nothing is showcased, nothing at all. We just see kind of like this world, and we see the mask, the famous mask, and that's pretty much it, right? So not much to say here about Borderlands 4. I have not played Borderlands 3. I played 1, I played 2. I need to check out Borderlands 3, actually. I played actually 2.5 as well, I believe. But 3 I haven't played. So I have to check out that before 4 releases. Not much details there. I'm pretty confident we're going to have millions of different combinations of guns, which will be exciting to see. Always a fun thing in the Borderlands games. Lots of crazy antagonists to fight against. Something severely missing in the movie itself. So exciting stuff for Borderlands 4, but little to no details to discuss here. For fans of Dying Light, which I tried out the first Dying Light game, and I thought it was fine. I actually had played it on my PlayStation 4. I haven't checked out Dying Light 2, so I can't comment about that. But I think the graphics look fine. But again, I haven't played the game, so I can't really comment about it. Viewers and listeners, anyone who's played Dying Light, let us know in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts about the game. And are you excited for this kind of like 20-hour release? It's kind of like not exactly a sequel. They didn't really want to make, gamers pay sequel money for a 20-hour game. It's just kind of like an expansion, 20 hours of gameplay, as you can see here in the comment section, in the comments, in a new open world zone full of parkour to do and zombies to kill. Like I said, I had played the original, which I thought was fine. I thought the parkour was fine in the original. The second one, actually, there were some pretty good reviews. SkillUp had said he had enjoyed it, but there were some issues, and I hadn't got the second Dying Light. But for fans of the video game, hopefully this will be a fun little DLC, right? For Dying Light, it's called Dying Light the Beast, I believe. Yeah, Dying Light the Beast. Next, now this is news that I am super excited for. Civilization 7. I spent years of my childhood playing Civilization games. 3, 4. Oh, such a fantastic time playing those games. Unfortunately, post kind of like secondary school, getting into sixth form and then university, I didn't really have the time to get fully immersed into the Civilization games. But I'm pretty excited for Civilization 7. I think it will be a good time to get back into building a new civilization. The Civilization games have always been incredibly immersive. Time suckers, if I've ever seen them, like the way they suck up your time when you're playing them. I used to remember starting off at like 8, 9 in the evening after eating, and then suddenly, I look at the time and go, what the hell? It's 4 in the morning. So Civ games are great, absolutely fantastic games, really immersive. building civilizations, going from the Stone Age all the way to the futuristic world, and then going into space has always been a fantastic experience. Exciting times for fans of Civilization. The gameplay looks absolutely crisp here, absolutely crisp. Great graphics as well. So yeah, exciting times for Civ fans. Been a while since I dug my hands into a Civilization game. I'm ready for February to arrive and to get into Civilization 7. 8 years since Civ 6. Damn, 8 years. That's a long time. So exciting times to come. Next up, the trailer for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a new trailer, and the big announcement was it's actually coming out on PS5. Now, I've seen a lot of fans, Xbox fans, kind of like being disappointed about this. Guys, I completely understand you. PlayStation have a lot of exclusives, and PlayStation fans are constantly bragging about all the different exclusives that they get, whether it's The Last of Us, whether it's all the different PS exclusives, right? God of War games and whatnot. I understand you completely. But I believe that the more people are able to play a game, the better, right? Now, me and Joe have already discussed the Indiana Jones game. I think it has issues. I think the animations look a little awkward at times, especially the first-person shooter, the first-person kind of like elements of the game look a little bit awkward. Especially the whip. I don't get what's going on with the whip. I mean, there's no way that kind of impact is going to hit the guy back, right? And the same thing with the hand-to-hand combat. It's like he's hitting him, but hitting him very weakly. And I'm never convinced that kind of punch or hit is going to, push back like that. That just seems so weightless. The combat seems very weightless. That's the word I was looking for. The graphics also, not convinced with the facial animations and the looks of the characters. Even the world design looks very bland and boring. I have a lot of issues with this game. Hopefully, it will turn out great. Apparently, right, talking about video game worlds which look a little bland, apparently the Star Wars Outlaws reviews have been mediocre to positive, right, or right around the 6.5, 7, 7.5 on average from the ones I saw. At least I haven't looked at Metacritic or the other grading websites. And that's another game that looked like it seemed quite mediocre, both in its animations and its graphics and not. This again, am I convinced that kind of hit from the whip is going to push this soldier back? Not really. The combat does feel very weightless. Again, and it could be again because of the first-person element of it all. I'm not convinced, right? I'm not convinced. But we'll see. Hopefully, it turns out fine. So those are my thoughts on the Indiana Jones game. Coming out on December 9th, so not too far away, guys. Exciting times, if you are a fan of Indiana Jones. Not much to say about this game, Marvel's Rivals, but I just wanted to say I knew this existed, but I'm going to say the graphics and the animations look insanely good. If this is a free-to-play game, I think this should be fun. I think it's a little weird seeing Hulk fighting against Winter Soldier. I think the power levels are a little mixed, but I think it looks crisp, looks exciting, looks pretty interesting. And apparently, from what I read, you get all the characters for free. All the characters will be available to get through playing the game for free. So yeah, I think this looks like a pretty interesting game. Overwatch, but with Marvel superheroes. like the journalist from Mashable said, based on that one sentence, you already know whether or not you're interested. Now, this is one I wanted to talk about, and I wish Franco was here because I'm sure he would be excited to talk about this. Now, to introduce this, before we actually get into it, I'm not sure this got enough attention, right? I think this deserves much more attention than it's gotten so far. But here we are talking about Secret Level, which is Amazon Prime Video's upcoming series of an anthology, basically. It's going to be an anthology series And the whole concept, this is basically Love, Death and Robots for video gamers, which is pretty exciting news because I adore Love, Death and Robots. I think that's an absolutely fantastic show. But Love, Death and Robots for Netflix, Netflix animated, get ready to be blown away by the next big thing from the same creative mastermind. So it's the same people who worked on Love, Death and Robots are working on this. And Love, Death and Robots had some pretty bloody great animation, if I say so myself. This time, with the help of Amazon, MGM Studios, Blur Studio will be diving into the world of video games with a brand new animated anthology called Secret Levels. The first season of Secret Levels features an impressive lineup of iconic games to draw from as it crafts its 15 animated stories. Here's a peek at the titles that have fueled these episodes. And we've got a long list there. Armored Core Concord. Oh my God, Concord. A massive fail of a game, which released like a couple of days ago and got like 700 or 800 players on Steam. It's an absolute disaster. On its opening day, that's disastrous. Crossfire, Dungeons and Dragons, Exodus, which I have no idea what Exodus is. Honor of Kings, Mega Man, New World. I actually played New World. That's the Amazon MMO. Great world design, but didn't keep my attention. Lots of different entities from various PlayStation studios, which is great to hear. Sifu, Spelunky, Outer Worlds. Oh, that was a great game. I actually quite like the Outer Worlds. And Unreal Tournament, which I used to play a lot when I was young. Now, what is this? Basically, this is going to be an anthology series showcasing different episodes, obviously, with short episodes from different video games, which I think is just perfection for video game fans of video games. I think this will be absolutely fantastic. The animation style, lots of variety here, lots of 3D. I think there was some 2D as well, if I remember correctly. Some 2D animation as well. Realistic 3D animation, some more arcadey 3D animation, lots of different color tones, color schemes being used here. The Outer Worlds here, for example, fitting perfectly with that world. Overall, I think this looks bloody great. I think this looks fantastic, like I've said. This is coming out for Prime Video, sorry, not for Netflix, of course. So it's great to see the team behind the Love, Death and Robots working on a new project. Again, this looks really impressive. This dragon, for example, fantastic stuff. Dungeons and Dragons, give me as much as you can, please. So exciting stuff here. Don't know if we have a release date. Yes, we do. It's December 10th. So exciting times to come for fans of video games and people who love shows, animated shows. This is going to be really, really good. Now, next up, we've got Mafia The Old Country. Now, really not much to say here. We pretty much can tell when it's set. It's going to be set before all the Mafia games. I have played Mafia 2 and Mafia 3. Mafia 2 is one of my personal all-time favorite video games, from all time, basically. I think Mafia 2 is a brilliant game. Again, all the elements of Mafia 2 worked so beautifully. The driving, all the different missions, the narrative which we had there was fantastic. All the elements of Mafia 2 worked fantastic. Mafia 3 was the opposite. I thought the narrative was bland for the absolutely fantastic setting set obviously during the Vietnam War. For that kind of setting, Mafia 3 was a massive disappointment. I thought the characters were uninteresting. Setting was not used to its full potential. Big disappointment. So, I have not played the first Mafia, by the way. So hopefully Mafia, the fourth Mafia game, Mafia The Old Country, can bring back the quality of Mafia 2 to the franchise. Like you can see here, the announcement didn't feature any gameplay footage or information beyond a basic premise, which is that it's about the origins of the Mafia way back in the Old Country in the early 1900s. We will certainly find out more at a later date. So, that description said, no gameplay here. It literally says this is in-engine cinematic rendered for trailer, so no concept at all at how the gameplay is going to be. But it gives us a little bit of the tone of the game. It showcases us kind of like the setting of the game, which, like I said here, early 1900s, way back in the old country. It's going to probably portray the origins of the Mafia. December 24th, 2024. So probably we'll get a full trailer of the game in December 2024. Excited to see that, because like I said, the Mafia 2 is one of my all-time favorite games, basically, of all time. This looks interesting. I like that they're going back in time. Origins of the Mafia will be fascinating to see. So yeah, I'm all in for this. But again, not much else to say. Now, before I start shitting on Peter Molyneux, I need a quick drink. Okay, so next up, Masters of Albion. Now, I had no idea this existed, and I had no idea who was behind this. But as you can tell here, and like I said, Peter Molyneux is back. Now, I just had a look at these, at those shots. You can see, actually going to show you really quickly, the IGN first look. And there we go. It's basically a open world God game. And if that rings a bell, then probably you played Black and White, which is a game that I also played myself. Now, for people who have no idea what Black and White is, I'm just going to bring it up on screen really quickly. Black and White was a really, really, really innovative game. Here we go. So Black and White was a really, really, really innovative game, right? Let me just bring up this, a random video. There we go. So I remember playing this. So basically, you are a god, right? And you can do whatever you want with these characters, with these people. They will treat you, I mean, obviously you can go either light or dark, right? You can throw them away into the ocean. You can build massive civilizations for them to live in. You can protect them from their enemies if you want to. You can let them be killed if you want to as well. You are in charge, right? Basically, you have this big hand. You have this big hand, right? You control the hand. The hand controls everything that happens in this world. So this was really fun. I loved playing this. The freedom the game gave you was fantastic. Graphically, I thought it was pretty impressive for its time. And the freedom this game gave you was, again, fantastic to have. Now, getting into Masters of Albion, looking at the description, Peter Molyneux is back. Peter Molyneux, obviously the creator of Black and White. Now, that name either made you giggle or made you say who, depending on how long you've been following video games. As you can tell, I've been following video games for quite a while now. I'm a bit of a boomer myself. Molyneux was a creative force behind popular old PC games like I've told you, Black and White and Populous decades ago. I did not play Populous before becoming the public face of the Fable trilogy. Now, I did play Fable 2 and I did not play Fable 3, but I watched my friend play a lot of Fable 3. And I saw a lot of gameplay of Fable 3 as well. And I also remember watching the Angry Joe show review of Fable 3, which is the reason why I did not get Fable 3. Fable 3 was basically Broken Promises, the video game. Peter Molyneux promised a ridiculous amount of things in the game, and he did not. He did not give what was expected out of the game, which obviously was very disappointing, right? So even the article says, you know, he's the guy, he's been long known for making grand, ambitious promises about games that often don't come true. And Masters of Albion is a self-funded game coming out. It appears to harken back to the PC God game days of old for Molyneux, with the same hand of God mouse cursor conceit as Black and White, like I told you in my description. So Masters of Albion definitely has a lot going on. You can now something I did not tell you there. As you can see in this third image here, you can actually switch to third-person mode, where basically you can control the character. I actually saw some gameplay on YouTube, and it showcases you switching from kind of like base building and controlling the building and recruiting people to work on building to a hero character. You also have hero characters who can defend the town from monsters, right? And as you can tell from the third image here, basically you zoom in into third-person mode from the kind of like the God mode you had before, and from there basically you can fight in third-person mode. The third-person action looks very awkward, I will say that. So I don't think that's going to be a very popular thing to do. However, you can then switch back to God mode and cast spells. As you can see here, in God mode, you are casting a firebolt spell there as well. I think the God mode gameplay will be more exciting to do than the third-person mode, which felt very, very awkward. Whether or not any of it will work, as promised, could be another story. That's the question, right? Because here we are talking about Peter Molyneux. Will it work? I don't know. I read an article, I'm looking it up now, where apparently Peter Molyneux, here it is, Peter Molyneux tapped into legacy NFT revenue to bring in Fable greats for Masters of Albion. Has one great game left in him. He hopes in the new Masters of Albion coming next year, and it seems he's at least grateful his past missteps have let him fund it. Molyneux discussed in an intergame. So basically, how the bulk of the profits from his NFT-centric game Legacy enabled him to tap into Fable vets for Masters of Albion. So basically, his NFT game Legacy has been, the money gained from that has been used to fund Masters of Albion. Will it be good? I don't know. Wait. Please do wait for reviews, though. Do not pre-order any games, especially Peter Molyneux games. That's definitely a must. Moving on to the next game, we've got Dune Awakening, which, as we can see here, is a very exciting game. Looking at it, right, it's a survival game. Whoa, that's so loud. It's a survival game in which basically geez, what the hell is up with Twitter? When you move the video, it just adds the sound again. Hate it so much. Gameplay captured in a work in progress beta version. Promising. So first of all, I think graphically for a kind of like a multiplayer survival game, this looks pretty promising, right? Looking at the traversal, I do worry it can be a little bland to constantly traverse in the Dune world, right? These dunes, right? But apparently there's going to be a lot of social interaction, which will be interesting. That's the equipment, which looks okay, fine, I think, quite clear. The graphics, again, look fantastic. The combat looks really interesting. You can take three approaches, right? You can take the distant approach, where you're sniping from a distance. You can take the hand-to-hand combat, where you sneak in and attack with a blade. That looks very exciting. And you can take the secretive method, where basically this is the mode, right? Where you release I forgot what they're called, the Seeker, the one that attacks Timothée Chalamet in the first Dune. But there basically you can use it to attack secretly. And then you loot, right? Obviously, water is going to be an important resource in the video game. And then there are going to be bases, right? So you join, I'm guessing you join kind of like a guild, right? And you work together with the guild, build buildings, right? With the guild kind of like Fallout 4 style in a way, but multiplayer. So Fallout 76. But you join in with guilds, build buildings and get the technology and so on, the copter, for example, to help you travel around, right? Now, apparently, there are also big cities you can travel to, now, this is one of them, right? So you go to the city, kind of like Destiny style, I guess, where you travel to the city, and there you will, again, meet other people from different kind of like from different houses, right? For example, here you've got the Harkonnen. Again, I think the atmosphere this game builds is fantastic. I think this is just perfect for a Dune multiplayer survival game. Looks incredibly promising, graphically pretty impressive, gameplay-wise also very varied and very exciting. I am definitely curious to see how the combat will work, especially when you've got like lots of characters on screen. How will the frames per second work? I don't know. I don't know if this game is going to work or not in that case. And especially when, we get the sandworms, when you summon the sandworms. So, very exciting for fans of Dune. I think this is a must play for survival game fans, for MMO fans, for fans of Dune, for fans of science fiction at all. Exciting times ahead with Dune Awakening. I'm very much looking forward to playing this game in early 2025, but I fear I am going to have to get a new graphics card for that. VR we skip. Unfortunately, I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan, guys, so I'm going to skip Monster Hunter Wilds. I really don't have much to say here. Not a big fan of these kind of like narrative games either. Don't really play them. Don't really have the time to play them, so I skip those again as well. Call of Duty's back. You know, I'm a big Call of Duty fan, but really not much to say here. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Omni movement, the campaign looks interesting. I mean, Modern Warfare 3 campaign was an absolute disaster, although the multiplayer is good. So, yeah, I think this looks fine. It's Call of Duty. It's a Black Ops campaign. They tend to be quite decent, right? We can skip this. And that's pretty much it, viewers and listeners. So, those are all my thoughts on the big Gamescom announcements. Very, very, very exciting announcements there. Let's go back to Camlink. Should be good. Okay. Very, very exciting announcements. Very nice trailers. I enjoyed watching Gamescom 2024. I thought the presentation was also very, very well done. So props to everyone who worked on that. I think it was a fantastic show, great announcements, and overall very, very happy with Gamescom 2024 and all the different announcements and games which are coming out soon. And with that, viewers and listeners, one last thing for today, and obviously that is why you are probably here. As you can see in the thumbnail, we are going to be discussing and talking about Alien Romulus. Now, you might be wondering, but why are you reviewing Alien Romulus so late? Well, if you're from Malta, you're not wondering, because, you know, unfortunately, Alien Romulus released very late, released a week late here in Malta. And thankfully, I was informed by a friend of mine that he fought to get it released on Wednesday. Now, I only had time to watch it today. So, because I was very busy this weekend. So I only had time to watch it today. I went to watch it. And so let's get into the review. So Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez. But before we get into the review, viewers and listeners, please let me know if you're enjoying the podcast. Let us know in the chat or in the comment section if you're watching this after the podcast. We are talking now about Alien Romulus, but if you have enjoyed the podcast so far, please leave a like. Don't forget to leave a like, and please do subscribe if you enjoy watching the Ad Lib Podcast. And if you are enjoying watching this Ad Lib Podcast, please leave a like and show us some love, show us some support. Actually, before I get into the Alien Romulus review, I am going to take a quick break, take a sip of water, because I need to rest my voice. Be right back. All right, viewers and listeners, thank you for waiting, and let's get straight into it. Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez, who also wrote the script together with Rodo Sayagues. Oh, Lord, sorry if I butchered that name, Mr. Rodo. Alien Romulus is the 7th film in the Alien franchise, obviously not counting the Alien versus Predator, 2 movies set 2 decades after the original Alien. That means it fits right between Alien, the original Alien, the 1979 Alien, and the 1986 Aliens. Our main protagonist is Cailee Spaeny's Rain Carradine, who is an orphan who works at the colony Jackson's Star. Basically, long story short, we see her contract getting extended by the corporation Weyland-Yutani. Obviously, has always been the case. Weyland-Yutani acting like the evil corporation that it is. Cannot be an Alien movie without showing us how evil it really is. And I remember Franco mentioned this. One of the top reviews is this: I'm starting to feel like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation does not have our best interests at heart. I really like that review. Anyway, so Cailee Spaeny's character talks to her friend Tyler, who I believe was also her ex-boyfriend, and his friends. Right, they're all a group of these downtrodden Gen Z kids. Most of them equipped with, I'll call it a deadly British accent, because I have to be honest, I did miss out on some pretty important dialogue because of the accent, but it is what it is. And this group of Gen Zers decide to travel to this lost spacecraft, and the intention behind this is to steal cryostasis chambers, right? Now, if you think it's a dumb plan, because they have to get onto this lost spacecraft, which is obviously very dangerous. If you think it's a dumb plan, you're right, because it is a dumb plan. And how these lowly Gen Z, kind of like downtrodden kids, are able to travel to a lost spaceship and gain access to this pretty, massive technology, I don't know. I started questioning the movie's logic from the beginning, right? And that did not help with my enjoyment of this movie. I have to be perfectly honest. But with them, they take David Johnson's Andy, who is an AI, right? He's an older version of AI, kind of, and we see that. And I'll be talking about Andy as a character and David Johnson as a performer later on. But they take him with them because obviously he is a Weyland-Yutani AI, right? Anyways, they go into the station, and of course, you can already tell from the poster and from all the different trailers we've seen, everything is not right, and we have lots of different battles with the face huggers, xenomorphs, and whatnot. I'm not going to give any spoilers here, of course. Spoiler-free review, as always. And they must battle with it. Now, I will say that watching the trailers, I've been super excited for this. One of the movies I've been most excited for. And the trailers have been really well done, really impressively done. That first teaser trailer, the run, and then we see Cailee Spaeny running away from the facehuggers, was immaculate. I think it brought in, perfectly showcased the tone and atmosphere that this movie was going for. And yeah, really impressively done. And I mean, all that was really well done. So 10 out of 10 for the adverts that this movie has had, and for all the different, merchandising that they've done and whatnot. And fans have responded because, Alien Romulus has made 200 million so far at the box office on an 80 million budget, which, talking about an Alien 80 million budget movie, this looks absolutely fantastic. Starting off with the positives, I will say that the production design for this movie is phenomenal. absolutely phenomenal. The sets are beautifully designed. It's good to see the retro tech look back for an Alien movie. We did have Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which kind of went more for a more sleek, kind of like the tablet, more futuristic look. And Prometheus was fantastic. I'm quite a big fan of Prometheus. I think it's like visually, it's stunning, looks beautiful. But if you had to ask me personally, I do prefer this kind of more 70s retro look, right? And the tech is more interesting to look at. Again, there's kind of like the 70s tech in space. I think it looks fantastic. I also think it makes more narrative sense for this design choice, especially because we're talking about Rain and her friends who all live on this like very grimy, very gritty looking mining colony, right? Where we start off. The world design is just beautiful, just stunning to look at. The opening 20-30 minutes, in fact, the world we see there portrayed, so much smoke and such atmosphere is developed. The neon lighting, fantastic. The lived-in world, the shops, and it just looks like a real world, right? It just looks like a real city, like a real mining colony. Everyone looks grimy, covered with dirt. Everyone's coughing. None of it looks clean or cleaned out. Quite a lot feels and looks practical. Fantastic. Obviously, lots of CGI as well. That is obvious, right? But there is also a very, very gritty, very real looking world here. And again, I'll repeat, fantastic lighting for this movie. Lots of love and care has gone into all these practical and digital effects that we see in this movie, bar one exception. And unfortunately, I cannot mention what that digital effect is. People who have watched the movie will know what I'm talking about. And when you do check out Alien Romulus, you will find out. You will see why I'm talking about that one specific digital thing. And just to get it out of the way, address the elephant in the room. Again, no spoilers here, don't worry about that. But that really stuck out like a sore thumb. And I'll say not just visually, but also ethically and morally, right? I do understand that the family were consulted. Apparently, from what Joe told me, Fede Alvarez did not want this effect in the movie. It was a request from Ridley Scott. Please, Ridley Scott, stop. You're ruining your reputation. You're ruining all the goodwill you built from Alien, from Blade Runner, from all those great movies, right? The Duelists, The Last Duel. Stop, please. Take a break. Relax. Go to the beach and let other people do their thing. You're done. You're cooked. I'm sorry. You're done. Right? Enough House of Gucci, enough Napoleon. I don't know what Gladiator 2 will be, but from what we've seen recently, I don't know. We'll see. But, so again, I disagree with that particular inclusion. Ethically, morally, and visually, because visually it looked horrible, which is a real pity because everything else looks incredible. The face huggers. Oh, such beautiful practical effects. The xenomorphs, fantastic. All that goo and the black goo from Prometheus, great to see here. All the blood and the bloody effects. When you see the face huggers, the chest bursters. Sorry, the effects. So satisfying to see. And the sound design. The sound design is so good when you see the chest burster. The effect of the chest is so good. Keith, I agree the digital thing bummed me out completely, and it was unnecessary. Yep, Keith, we're on the same wavelength here. So yeah, the chest burster scene, so good. Like the effect, the sound design of it. Groom. Amazing. all this technical stuff, really well done. The cinematography, I think Fede Alvarez, who I'm really not sure who was his cinematographer here, Gallo Olivares, he's worked on Gretel and Hansel, which I have to check out, directed by Osgood Perkins. Yeah, worked on some stuff. I'm not too familiar with the rest of his work. But I think the cinematographer did a fantastic job. Really great stuff. Some of the camera work, I actually really enjoyed the fact, and I saw this pointed out on Twitter, and I noticed it whilst watching the movie. Lots of wide shots, lots of wide shots, which is perfect, right? Because you want to take in all that stunning set design, all that stunning design and beautiful work done by the designers, by the set designers. So the cinematography takes full advantage of that. Very great stuff there. And you know, to conclude on this point, we know that Fede Alvarez is great at making his movies look really good, really good, absolutely fantastic. We know that, right? We know Fede Alvarez is a talented director, and he knows how to showcase his stuff. And just one thing that comes to mind right now is the Evil Dead scene, for example, where we see the raining blood scene. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. So all that is great, right? Anyways, opening 30 minutes, I think, are fantastic. Really good stuff. And this is one of the main reasons why, right? Because it really successfully sets the atmosphere, great tone, gritty world, very atmospheric, and so on. We are introduced to this admittedly quite bland group of characters, minus Andy. To specify on Andy, Andy always feels like there's something weird going on. Always some tension on screen when there's Andy portrayed. Always like he's going to kind of like explode at any moment, right? So I really like that. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Anyways, so they decide to go off, and they set off from this world. Unfortunately, I wanted to explore this world more. I do hope we possibly get a video game in which we see this world, which is called, let me look it back up because I forgot the name already. The world of, oh God, did I write it? Of Jackson Star. I do hope we get a video game in which we see the world of Jackson Star portrayed again. Anyways, they set off to explore this very creepy station. Great stuff. They, find the station itself, find the cryostasis stuff and whatnot, and we get our first encounter with the face huggers. Again, fucking fantastic stuff. Really beautifully portrayed. Great tension is developed in that scene. By the way, no spoilers, guys. I'm just talking about stuff that we see in the trailer. That's it, right? The first face hugger scene felt really well done, right? There's the water, which we see in the trailer. There's something in the fucking water. I just love the British guys. Something in the fucking water. It's tense. It feels consequential as well as to what happens then later on. You can actually see that in the poster. And again, the face huggers, the practical face huggers, bloody creepy, really creep me out, right? Scary as hell. I'm jumping all the way throughout that whole scene. And yeah, the movie then moves on from one great set piece, one exciting set piece to another, right? And lots of great stuff happening, great tense scenes. Then we have that digital scene, right? Which both me and Keith have said we really did not like. That kind of ruined stuff a little bit. Visually, looked horrible. Ethically, morally, I was like, this is yucky. But that's not the thing that didn't make me fall in love completely with this movie. Listen, at the end of the day, this is Alien, the fan movie. right? This is a fan movie. It's throwing every single Alien film at you. Alien with the atmosphere and tone and design. Aliens, when we see Cailee, Spaeny with the gun, with the reference to the colonial marines and her, you know, her standing exactly like, you know, everything you see in this film, 30 minutes, 40, 30, 20, 30 minutes on, everything is a reference to you know, the old Alien movies. Even the 1997 Alien, was that Requiem? I forgot. There's a scene which is a reference to that as well. There's Prometheus references. I've already mentioned the Black Goo stuff. Prometheus references there. We get so many lines from the Alien movies. For example, we see Andy falling down in one scene and saying the famous "Get away from her, you bitch." Right? So lots of callbacks, and the film just feels like alien porn. It's just like one alien reference after another, and I'm watching the film and I'm enjoying the set pieces, but I'm just like, can't we do something creative here, something new? And yes, the final scene, no spoilers, does something a little more creative. I enjoyed it, and there were a couple of what the fucks from the people who are watching it with me. Hello, Henry. Hey, Henry. How's it going, my friend? Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's been such a long time. Is it finally a worthwhile Alien film to watch? I'm discussing it right now, Henry. If you want to rewind a little bit, I was discussing kind of like the general setting. I'm just concluding on the positives of the movie. And I'm getting into the negatives now. And basically what I'm saying with regard to negatives is that, you know, it's alien porn, the movie, because it's throwing reference after reference after reference at you. Alien. Have you watched Alien? Oh, there's a reference to Alien. Look at the design. Look at the shoes, right? Have you watched Aliens? Oh, look at the gun. Look at the colonial marine gun. Look at the way you shoot and all those references. Have you watched? Always constantly reference after reference after line drop after line drop after line drop of the Alien franchise, which, you know, listen, I love Star Wars Rogue One. I don't mind references, trust me. And this does feel a little similar at times, right? In that the film, you know, constantly throwing references at the screen, one after the other. But at a point, I'm like, you know, I feel like Fede Alvarez should be doing something creative, something more creative, something new. Hello, D-Movie Man. Hey, Andrea. I thought this was visually spectacular in so many ways, but some of the other choices, especially in that third act, had my head spinning. Yep, I'm just getting into that, D-Movie Man. Anyway, so, listen, one reference here and there is fine, but when the whole movie is just alien references, that means that some other important movie stuff is left on the byline, including a narrative that makes sense and characters that I care about, which are two essentials to make a good movie, right? If you don't have characters you care about, and if there is a plot that more or less makes little to no sense from the get-go, and the movie barely takes its time to like develop its characters and whatnot, little to no character development from anyone, that eventually leads, in my opinion, to a disappointing film. Just as I said with Deadpool and Wolverine. But Deadpool and Wolverine didn't have the visuals and the practical effects on its side. So that's a big positive for Alien Romulus. But let's get into it. So, the characters. Many of the side characters here just simply are alien fodder. If you watch the original Alien and especially Aliens, all the different characters feel quite defined. Listen, there's no serious characterization going on there, but with just one or two lines, right? For example, the Did they ever mistake you for a guy? Did they ever mistake you for a guy? That just tells you everything about the character, right? That's just fantastic writing and fantastic dialogue. It's funny, it's quippy, it makes the character endearing, showcases what a bloody badass she is. It shows everything from the character, right? None of that writing is here, unfortunately. None of that, quippy, funny dialogue, sharp dialogue is here, which is a big pity. Massive pity, which I think is one of the things that this movie is lacking. The characters themselves, the characters themselves are quite bland. Like I said at the start, listen, this is unfortunately the second Cailee Spaeny movie I'm kind of shitting on a little bit post Civil War. I did actually quite like her in Priscilla. I really liked Priscilla. I had a very good time with that. But Civil War, my thoughts on that basically. But Cailee Spaeny really is not given a lot to work with, right? I know a lot of journalists focused on how good Cailee Spaeny is. She's a fantastic actress, don't get me wrong. But her character really has nothing interesting going on with her character, right? Very bland, very bland. She goes through all the horror movie motions. She actually has a pretty badass moment late-ish in the movie, which is fine. I mean, I enjoyed it. And she is a star. She's clearly a star. But I never really cared about her character. She's just a Ripley ripoff. Even for example, her taking off all her clothes and being with her shorts and so on. Very, a Ripley ripoff. Ripley ripoff, right? There's a pun there. So that was a little disappointing. I expected much more from the Cailee Spaeny character. The movie man said that Aliens 2 quote, which now precedes the actual film, in which it was said time-wise, that clunked so hard, it's all I could do to keep from groaning out loud. Yeah, already commented about that, the movie man. Indeed. Get away from her, you bitch. Very did not land at all. Even the delivery of that line, very weird. Anyways, let's talk about another positive. And this will lead me then to my conclusion of my review, because I think I've been talking about it more than enough. Andy the android, fantastic character. One big, I think, redeeming quality for the writing of this movie, and performance-wise, David Johnson gives a phenomenal performance. The way his face moves, the small nuances of his facial reactions. At the start, like I said at the start of my review, constantly seeming on edge, constantly tense, right? And making you, the viewer, constantly tense. Is he going to lash out? There's one scene where you think he's going to lash out, and then, it's something different. But you're constantly looking at his facial reactions, and there's some really impressive stuff. And then, to add to that, already that was a fantastic performance. Midway through the film, no spoilers, but there is a drastic change to his character. And he does it in such a convincing fashion. Even his kind of like his movement, the way he moves his body, very AI-like. One point he kind of reboots, and all his movement there is just bloody phenomenal. Really impressive stuff. Really impressive stuff. So all that is great. I mean, this is one of the best performances I've seen this year. Supporting actor-wise, this is one of the best performances I've seen this year. Really convincing stuff there. I was flabbergasted by that performance. Impressive, really impressive stuff. There was that one line, however, which was kind of very awkward, like the movie man said. So, where does that leave us? I've been speaking a lot here, and I think it's time to conclude the review. Lack of focus on characterization and a narrative. This is something else that I didn't mention with the narrative. It goes on and on and on and on and on, never ending. And, when we see the black goo from Prometheus, something's going to happen. right? You know something is going to happen. So, you know, the ending is not a surprise, right? As it was in the original movies, right? As it was in the original movies. But, you know, the movie just goes on and on and on. I feel like this could have been much shorter. Endless and exhausting, yes. Pretty disappointing narrative, yes. Bland, boring characters, minus the Andy character, yes. Those are the negatives. Positives, we've got the top-notch cinematography. You know, like I said, nice focus on wide angles to let us soak in all those beautiful sets, the fantastic lighting, all those practical effects used on the majority of the alien scenes, the xenomorphs and the face huggers and whatnot. Most of the CGI also was fantastic, minus that one sort visual scene, which I've referred to. Overall, mixed bag, right? Pretty much a mixed bag. My rating for Alien Romulus, I liked it more than I disliked it. I want to give it a, you know, my mind says give it a 3. My heart says give it a 3.5. I'm going to go with a 3.5. I just think the film just does too much. That is good, visually wise, for me to give less than a 3.5. From a narrative, from a character point of view, objectively, as an objective reviewer, I think this is a 3. From how much I enjoy the film, this is a 3.5. I think more or less you get the gist of what I'm talking about here. Keith said, I wished Fede Alvarez had more creative freedom to inject more his horror sensibilities, but with Ridley Scott behind the project, he could only do as much. Yep. That is exactly why, Keith, I said that Ridley Scott should go, take a very long holiday, sit down on a beach, put his feet up, let his production company fund exciting movies, historical horror movies, let his production team fund those films, and just let great author directors like Fede Alvarez do their own thing. So, Alien Romulus is a mixed bag, but to conclude, I think it's well worth checking out in the cinema, because Henry, before you asked me, is it finally a worthwhile Alien film to watch? I think it's worthwhile to watch. Overall, there are some fine scares, great visuals, great practical effects, bland, boring characters, and pretty weak, mostly nonsensical plot. And yeah, so those are my thoughts on Alien Romulus. So with that, viewers and listeners, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy this podcast. Unfortunately, today it was just myself. Franco could not join because there was no electricity in his hometown. Joe is currently traveling and a very, very busy man, so he could not join either. Regardless, Henry said, regardless, I end up hiding behind the chair. Cheers, Grav. Yeah, happy to hear from you, Henry. By the way, I think this year, Henry, nose fall for the first time in years, which is very sad. I don't know. I don't think I'll be taking part in Sval for the first year in a while. We had a very good season last year, by the way, Henry. We finished third. Had a good time playing last year. Really enjoyed it. But this year, this coming year, I think, time to hang the boots, unfortunately. So, viewers and listeners, if you enjoyed the podcast, no Sval, no bad time, yeah. I miss those days. If you enjoyed the podcast, please don't forget to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what we do here at the Ad Lib Podcast. We will be back next week. We have, oh my God, The Crow. We have The Crow to review next week, releasing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm not sure. Oh God, I'm not looking forward to that. But we have The Crow to review. And I believe there's another film as well. There's the... What's the other film that's coming out next week? Oh, Blink Twice. There's Blink Twice as well, coming out this week, which we'll be reviewing as well, directed by Zoe Kravitz. on her directorial debut. There's a Channing Tatum in that. So yeah, we'll be reviewing those two films next week. Make sure to join us to hear me, and hopefully Franco and Joe will be joining us next week. And with that, I will say peace out, adieu. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us. Always happy to have you here on the Ad Lib Podcast. And with that, adieu. And since Franco isn't here, as always, free Palestine.